Hello, good evening, and welcome to Politics Now on LN 24/7, your trusted source for in-depth political analysis. I am Mono Balagogo, live from our studio here in Abuja, and tonight we delve into two critical developments shaping Nigeria's political landscape. But before we get into the business of today, let us tell you about some developments. We'll start at the National Assembly today, where the Senate approved the Rivers State budget. And of course, there was a little bit of discussion. I don't want to use the word commotion now about the Vice Admiral or the person who is taking care of the affairs of the state at the moment, not being from Rivers State. Well, away from that, let us tell you that the PDP, People's Democratic Party, has reinstated Samuel Anyanwu as the national secretary of the party following its meeting with the Independent National Electoral Commission on Tuesday. The party has also suspended its planned National Executive Committee INEC meeting scheduled for June 30th, and instead the planned meeting will be an expanded caucus. Acting National Chairman of the party, Umar Damagun, announced the reinstatement at a news conference in Abuja. The conference was attended by the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Bala Mohammed, and the former Senate to the electoral body's guidelines for political parties. Now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has reacted during the course of a commission in Abuja today, and he said that there is no need for a directive to reinstate Samuel Anyanwu as the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, as he had already been functioning in that role. And speaking further, he said, if you want to learn, come, we will teach you. You've got to give it to Nyesom Wike. You look at Rivers politics, he came out on top. And now the PDP internal crisis, he's back on top. Well, exciting news. After much pressure, even right here, we put pressure on INEC. Well, INEC has said it received 110 applications for political party registration, and it confirmed receiving letters of intent from 110. That the requests have been processed in line with the relevant laws and the Commission's regulations and guidelines. Yakubu urged Nigerians, especially those interested in registering political parties, to consult the Commission's regulations and guidelines for political parties 2022, which is available on its website. The Commission also released the full list of the 110 associations, detailing their proposed names, acronyms, and addresses, as well as the names of their chairman and secretaries. Well, for a full breakdown of that, you can go to our digital platform. I'm sure you'll get the story there. So let's now come to the business for today. So in our first hour tonight, we will examine the Nigerian Senate's decision to extend the 2024 budget's capital component to December 2025. A move sparking debate over fiscal management. So let's roll our topic card, focusing on the 2024 budget extension. And our talking points will focus on the economic necessity of this budget extension. We'll also take a look at the political tensions and transparency concerns. And finally, we'll look at the impact on ordinary Nigerians. Okay, they said capital projects, this and that, but are we feeling the brunt? That is something that is also key. Then we'll turn our lens to the People's Democratic Party, the meeting as the opposition grapples with the leadership tussle that is threatening its unity. Of course, we saw the report I just brought to you now that Anyanwu has been reinstated, even though Wike said this is not a reinstatement. I mean, he's been functioning in that capacity. So we'll still talk about the National Secretary leadership dispute. That will be our first talking point. And then secondly, we'll look at INEC's regulatory role and PDP's path to unity and 2027. So these and more is what we will be focusing tonight on the show. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, I'll introduce you. Our guest, Dr. Aliyu, is standing by. He'll help us understand the economic and developmental aspects and angle of the Senate's decision. Is this really productive for the people? We'll be right back. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us tonight. Well, let's get to the first conversation. On Tuesday, the Nigerian Senate approved a bill to extend the implementation of the almost trillions of capital component of the 2024 budget from June 30th to December 31st, 2025. Now, this marks the second extension of the 34 trillion naira budget as the government cites insufficient funds to complete critical infrastructural projects. While the ruling APC defends the move, opposition senators, particularly from the PDP, demand transparency, questioning why scarce resources are being not available, so to speak, despite fuel subsidy removal. So we're exploring the economic necessity of the extension, the political tensions that it reveals, and its impact on Nigerians. And joining us is Dr. Aliyu Ilias, a political economist, supply chain expert, and earth development expert. And I always appreciate his thoughts when it comes to political economy. Dr. Aliyu, good evening to you, and thank you for being on the show tonight. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Thank you. Good evening to you.
Yeah, good to have you tonight. So let's get down to our first talking point. We're looking at the economic necessity for this budget. The government is arguing that the extension of the budget is essential to avoid abandoning our ongoing projects. But with Nigeria facing high inflation and limited revenue, what does this reveal about fiscal planning? So why has the government struggled to fund the capital budget despite increased revenue projections post-subsidy removal?
It shows that this present government led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu lack fiscal discipline, because if you do not lack fiscal discipline, you would have maintained at least January to December budget. If I thought you are going to extend it to be 6 months, not extend it for extra one. So it shows that we have issues of procurement processes. We also have issue with release of funds, because if the funds were released as expected to be, it's a normal thing that some project will last for 3 years. You know, you cannot build a road within 6 months or 1 year, but it should be continuously, since the funding has been there already. But this one is majorly because of lack of funding, and that exposes the lack of fiscal discipline, structural challenge, fiscal structural challenge. And like most of those senators are saying, it also brings opportunity for corruption, lack of transparency, and people will find it difficult to actually monitor. Perhaps the budget they have budgeted for, the activities they have budgeted for can be budgeted for if care is not taken. And that's why most of us are saying no to that, because if you actually want to do, you can actually close the budget anytime that you stipulated, and let it be in the next budget. All these things, it can be captured in 2025 budget. 25 budget still have opportunity for what do we call it, another appropriation, because I'm very convinced that there's going to be additional budget. You can add in that manner, not that you say you are extending for a year again, because 6 months, that's a year. So it's quite surprising, and we have not seen this before. Even President Muhammadu Buhari was able to maintain January to December until we have President Bola Tinubu going in this manner. And you recall that it's not only 2024, even the two budgets they have done has appeared that they enjoy extension of budget.
To funding shortfalls, because we have 2025. So do you see us doing more borrowings? And the question of subsidy removal, we're still asking for accountability, but all government keeps saying is, FAC allocations has increased. So what is going to be their response now to this argument?
It's so sad that having declared more revenue, because it's obvious that once you remove a subsidy, government have abundance in terms of revenue. People beyond the first subsidy removal, we have seen the custom saying that they have more money now. We have also seen the FRS saying that they have overshoot and get over what they actually targeted for. That simply means that abundant money. So my challenge is that why do we have issue in terms of fund release? Perhaps maybe the money is being expended on coastal road because it should be clear where is the money actually going. In as much as we agree that there could be shortfall in budget because the Trump factor in terms of international trade actually affected our expected income. But you could see also that the war in Iran also come as a blessing in disguise to an extent that has boosted the oil revenue. So for me, I don't think we should have much issue. Perhaps this is not even 2025 budget. This is 2024 budget.
Countries in the world that this pattern comes about, or this is something that is just limited to Nigeria? So what are we not doing, especially when you look at the structural issues in Nigeria's economy? Is this obtainable in other parts of the world?
Well, for me, from my analysis and economists, I have not seen come across such. However, I'll put the blame more on the National Assembly because it's as if anything that the president actually bring, they will take it hook, line, and sinker. You also agree with me that their responsibility is to do oversight function. I don't know if we need to retrace it to them. The first responsibility of the National Assembly members is to carry out oversight function. And how do you mean by oversight function? Is to go through the budget and the budgetary allocation and check the project if it's actually implemented. So I'm thinking we don't even need executives to come and update us on the status of things. We expect even the National Assembly to have carried out their own research and get the status of things and remind the government of what they're supposed to do. So it's quite new, and I hope this will be the end of it.
Our concerns. The extension has exposed political fault lines. Of course, we heard what Senator Ningi said, and I think Senator Ademola, who were criticizing the government's lack of transparency. So what do these criticisms suggest about trust in the APC-led administration's financial management? Just recall that a few weeks back, the APC-led administration marked 2 years of the president's, administration. So far, we've seen endorsements here and there, and rhetorics of the economy is doing very fine. I think in the words of the Minister Tugar, he said Nigeria is off life support, economically speaking. So when you see all of this that is going on, what comes to your mind? Because it's not even 2027 yet, and we're all already talking about politics. So what does this say about the rhetorics and the propaganda that we've been hearing from government? Because this sort of exposes what a lot of people will call incompetence in governance.
Right. So I can tell you clearly that there is trust deficits in this government simply because when you see the way they are managing the economy, especially when it comes to financial, the transparency is not enough. You could see even for National Assembly, who is actually appropriating the budget, for them to come out and say no, there's no transparency. That simply means we lack transparency. And I can tell you, this government is fully distracted. Going to Benue, President started talking about politics. Today, last year, I started talking about politics. So it's appeared that 2027 is dominating the affairs of this government in place of them to face the actual reality that people actually are suffering from. Especially people are suffering from the challenges that are that's bedeviling Nigeria through removal of fresh subsidy and actually floating of naira. We are still battling that, and this government is going on and doing several campaign. I also wonder what the INEC is actually looking at allowing such level of campaign while we are still far 2 years to the election.
You begin to hear rumors that the Minister of Finance and the Office of the Accountant General are picking and choosing projects they will finance. It's not right. Sequel to what I have said, I think the Committee on Appropriation, Mr. President, should be saddled with the investigation of why
you have 1 minute remaining.
it is important, even though Senator Yahya said the leadership, we have given the leadership that mandate, nothing has changed. We need to do what Parliament does. Give the Appropriation Committee a mandate of 2 weeks to present before this chamber as to why what is happening. Lastly, Mr. President, this is Parliament. We need to be guided by logics. We need it to be guided by facts.
All right, Dr. Aliyu, let me bring you back. It's not enough to just talk about the problem, but what is most needed is how we solve the problem. So how can the government address these concerns to maintain credibility? Because right now, even those who are representing us in the National Assembly are complaining. What are they going to do about it? Or most importantly, what can the government do to remedy this?
Right. First and foremost, the government should engender more confidence in Nigeria, because if you don't give us confidence in what you are doing and how you are doing it, becomes pretty difficult for us to trust you. So for me, I think there is no need for any budget that 2024 cannot capture now should be made to hold on, should be bring back to status quo, and should be budgeted for through supplementary budget. Nothing like extension. I think supplementary budget would have solved this problem, and it would have captured it. So there is no need for you to extend. Anyone that extend more than March should be cancelled and should move on to the next. If not, we are going to appropriate double to some of those projects. And you could see what Senator Abdul we are not managing it very well. How can you plan for a budget, appropriate for it, and you find it difficult to actually fund the budget? That's so, and that takes us to the next level of what is in need for the Nigerian citizen.
So let me ask you a question now. How many budgets are we running at the moment?
Because it's quite clear that we are running 2 budgets. Well, I don't know. No, naturally, there are some budgets that the implementation can continue, but it would have been funded. For instance, we are building a road or some structure that demand more time to be maybe 3 years project. You will be doing it while the budgetary allocation will be available. So, but in this case, the budget, the fund is not available, it is not appropriated for. And that's the problem. So the bigger problem now is that why are they not funding all those projects? That is the question.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the impact on Nigerians, because the justification for this extension is for the people, completion of delayed capital, of projects. So we see delayed capital spending directly affecting citizens, from stalled roads to unpaid contractors. These are just some of the issues. So how do these delays impact job creation and public services?
Right. So you will recall that we have 3 components of the budget. We have fiscal, capital expenditure. We have recurrent expenditure, and we have debt servicing. Debt servicing has been paid, has been serviced. The recurrent has been released appropriately, but the only one that benefits Nigerian citizens are the one that are delayed. And what is it for us? What is in it for us? Remember, this capital project is one that caters for all Nigerians, especially in terms of social infrastructure. And when we say social infrastructure, we're looking at roads. So that means you are denying Nigerians from the expected route. Health. That means there's some hospitals that are supposed to be built, are supposed to be restructured, refurbished. It's been delayed. Education. Some schools are supposed to be, they are dilapidated, or they're supposed to be refurbished, they're supposed to build another one. These are what Nigerians are suffering, and that is so sad. And that's why I find it difficult that why are we so conscious of recurrent expenditure, but we fail to actually service what benefits Nigerians. So for me, it's going to have a negative effect on Nigeria. First and foremost, it will reduce our fund in circulation. People that are supposed to get a job will be unemployed because the service is not there. It will also delay some activities. perhaps it will also have GDP effects. And this is what they don't know. Once you release those fund, it simply means things will continue and markets, women, businessmen will always get something. Now, if you are only contractors, it will trickle down to the general public and will have it will have negative effects on Nigerians.
So what mechanisms can ensure the extended budget delivers tangible benefits by December 2025? Because I've been listening to some analysts today, and they've been quite vocal about the fact that the last time we saw extension of budget, it did not really impact on the people.
Yes, once you extend the budget, it has a lot of negative effects. One, you recall that the inflation is there, it would have affected the value of the money. Because if you budget 300 million for a particular project, if you extend it for another 6 months, it can have jumped to 350 million. Because recall that every procurement process, once you drop a proposal, there's a caveat that said subject to renew by after 90 days. That simply means that you are going to revisit it and check if the inflation have not crept into that money, and it will become much more higher. So government is likely to spend much more higher compared to what they actually budgeted for earlier. And that's a serious implication for both and for the Nigerian and for the benefit of Nigeria. So it has a lot of implication. In terms of GDP, it's also affecting us. In terms of providing employment, is affecting us. In terms of also making available funds for Nigerians to actually work with, is a problem. So,
Hello, Dr.
and the two different things. Is the fund not actually available, or there's a delay for, and that's why transparency is the problem now. Doesn't mean there is no fund or it has not been released. Not released. Why is it not released? Is there no trust, or is it procurement issue? Is procurement process having issue? Perhaps, remember, they said they want to increase the threshold of procurement. Is that what they are waiting for? These are the things they have to come out to say clearly why they're actually delaying it.
Now, so how can the government rebuild public trust in budget implementation? Because, I mean, you started to touch on it, looking at the fact that what is really the problem? Is it that the money is not available? Is it the issue of procurement? These are just some of the concerns, because a very important role that the National Assembly is supposed to be playing is the issue of oversight. Because if these things are just happening, you have the normal one, you have the extended one, you have the supplementary, it puts a lot of pressure, because someone want to argue that it will be difficult for you to really track and begin to, follow through and through on what government is doing.
Right. So for me, the solution first and foremost is that we should revert back to January-December budget. Anyone that could not meet the budget, let it go into the supplementary budget. Anyone that does not go to supplementary budget, please hold it on and let it go to the next budget cycle. Not that you'll be extending beyond normal. Anyone that has passed the appropriate time, please stop it there and budget for it directly. If you recall, even during Buhari, this is clear. Buhari make it point clear that any budget that you could not implement by December, return the money to the coffers of the federal government, and they will give you compensation for it. That was what Buhari did, and it actually worked well for him.
So could you be sensing foul play here? Because if they are not doing what Buhari did, I mean, he's under the APC-led government, and this president, of course, is still under the APC government. So definitely, according to what you have said, there is a template. So does that raise concern that there could be corruption, or that there will be corruption?
Right. So the fact is that anything that's short of the normal thing and lack transparency will give room for corruption. And that's why we must call on the Minister of Finance and coordinating economy. He should come clean in this case and make sure that he do the appropriate thing, because the box actually stop on his table. For me, is one that is, because I can see what Abdul Ningi senator said. He said is actually picking one project or the other. So are they picking project on priority? Perhaps are they waiting to use all these projects to campaign? Because that's another thing we must look at very well. By the time the 2027, 2026, we get 2026, you see them doing every activities every now and then. It will seem as if this is actually what they are doing. That could be another thing. It could be a tool for campaign.
While at the same time, it raises questions over credibility and transparency, which is very, very important. So, in other words, the government is playing politics, with insecurity, even with the budget, from all that you have said. Well, we want to thank you so much, Doctor, for your time with us on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we move on. The Senate's budget extension buys time, but it also raises hard questions about Nigeria's economic and political priorities. And as Dr. Ilias has highlighted, balancing fiscal necessity with transparency is critical to delivering for Nigerians. And like he said, the government must earn the public's trust, because this is really not good at all. So we'll be waiting for some explanations from the Minister of Finance to help us make sense of what is going on. Well, coming up next, we'll shift focus to the PDP's leadership crisis and its meeting with INEC. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues? The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join LM 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
The golden age of America begins right now. I will very simply put America first.
Watch Politics Now on LM 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on LM 24/7. LN 24/7 lights up your day with unbeatable shows that guarantees absolute access to stories that revolves around politics, entertainment, and sports. Breaking news, plus detailed reports and analysis. At LN 24/7, where the story goes, we go.
The status of our National Secretary. We've gone into litigation, I think, from the beginning of last year until when the Supreme Court, make a pronouncement, of which INEC was the party. We're here today to discuss and interact with you sincerely because we had NEC and there was a decision of NEC which mandated me to sign a letter to avoid controversy. And I received your reply on that letter.
As to who is the secretary. In the last couple of months, we received letters from the party saying that one Mr. Ude Okoye was the secretary. Thereafter, the party changed its mind and said it was Senator Anyao. Thereafter, the party changed its mind to say that it's Mr. Shokwedo. And again, the party changed its mind to say it's Anyao. And the last letter from the party actually has no secretary at all. It was only signed by the chairman, which we responded to. But we are here as the registrar and regulators of political parties. And we hope when we go into the working session, we will fully understand where you are coming from and what more you expect from us as the registrar and regulator of political parties. So on behalf of the Commission, I welcome you to this meeting. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Politics Now on LN 24/7. Well, on Tuesday, the People's Democratic Party met with INEC to address a leadership dispute over its national secretary position, a crisis marked by conflicting claims and procedural lapses. As Nigeria's main opposition, the PDP's internal challenges could weaken its challenge to the APC ahead of 2027. So we're exploring three talking points: the roots of the dispute, INEC's regulatory role, and the PDP's path to unity. Talking about unity, we told you earlier on the show that Anyanwu has been reinstated as the national secretary of the party. Well, joining us via audio call is PDP chieftain, former chief press secretary of the ECOWAS Youth Council, and a staunch supporter of Samuel Anyanwu, joins us virtually. Hello, Tonye. Good to have you on the show tonight. Hello, Tonye. Are you with us? Okay, so let's break down our first talking point. We're looking at the roots of the leadership dispute. So the PDP's national secretary position has seen competing claims. That's what we've seen. We've covered it several times on the show, from Ude Okoye, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, and Koshodo, feeling internal tensions. And of course, earlier we saw the clip of the chairman, Umar Damagun, with that closed-door meeting that they had with INEC, which was later revealed at the late hours of yesterday. And today they had a press briefing announcing that Samuel Anyanwu has been reinstated. So this is a victory for the Wike-led faction of the PDP, even though several times they will tell us that Wike, the party is not really divided, the party is getting stronger. But could this be the works of former Senator Bukola Saraki? Because you recall that he was elected to do this reconciliatory processes, and it seems to be turning out positively. But what does this really mean for the party? Let's see if we can get back to Tonye. Hello, Tonye. Are you with us tonight? Hello, can you hear me? All right, so this particular issue has really turned the People's Democratic Party apart. And of course, the Southeast Caucus had been pushing Ude Okoye to stand in and act as the national secretary. But of course, they have to find a unanimous agreement now. So we're wondering how other factions in the party would respond to this new development, because this is coming in from the acting chairman of the party, talking about Umar Damagun. I know there are a lot of people, who've been on this show that will not really be excited about this new development. But if one thing is clear, the PDP has got to put its house in order. This was the president's direct words to them. Don't blame people from leaving your caucus to come to the APC. This is your doing. Fix your house before you talk about government. And this is the talking point of the presidency and the APC at large. But the question lingers: how will this ripple through the party in terms of solving? Is this the end to PDP's internal struggles now that Samuel Anyanwu has been reinstated? What is the fate of the party, given the fact that Nyesom Wike has been working tirelessly for the APC administration, which is understandable because he is a political appointee, so he must deliver. But at the same time, let's not forget that this same Wike has been offered an opportunity.
Hello, can you hear me?
All right, good to have you back on the show. Do apologize for that timeout. Well, good to have Tonye back with us. Hello, Tonye, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening, sir.
Your man, your chieftain, Samuel Anyanwu, has been reinstated. Although Wike doesn't like that word reinstated, he said that Anyanwu has simply been working as the national secretary of the party. So what is your reaction to this development?
Well, first and foremost, let me appreciate the party acting national chairman, and the chairman of the governors forum, and other leaders for towing the path of rule of law, justice, and order. But on the world reinstate, I also have a problem with that because record shows that Anyanwu has never vacated the position of national secretary at any time, and he was not under suspension, he was not expelled, he was not dismissed. So what happened today is that the party simply formally announced that they are aligning with the position of the law and the PDP constitution, which provides that Anyanwu, by all records and facts, is the national secretary of the party.
Okay, so if this could have been resolved a long time ago, perhaps the number of persons that have left the People's Democratic Party would still be in your party today. So, I mean, even though this is exciting for you, the damage has been done. Would you say that this could have been sorted out without having to take too much time and to have people leave your party?
Those who left the party did not leave because of the issue of national secretary. In fact, let me tell you, the crisis or purported crisis was artificially created. I use the word artificially created to provide a platform for this defection. So it's not that they defected because of the issue of national security, because everybody knows, including those that let me be fact, sir. Let me be factual, sir. Senator Anyanwu ran for office. Senator Anyanwu ran for office not in 2024, but in 2023. He obtained nomination form around March 2023. He was cleared around April 2023. He won his primary around May 2023. Now he tendered a letter of leave of absence. The party accepted. The Deputy National Secretary, Koshedo, he was acting as National Secretary. Everybody was fine. After the election on November 11th, he resumed. Everybody was fine. Koshedo returned to his position as Deputy National Secretary. Debo was defending the position of the National Secretary of Anyanwu. Everybody, in fact, the party and the legal advisor before the Federal High Court in Abuja tendered a document to say that there was no time Anyanwu was ever removed as National Secretary of the party. The Federal High Court gave their judgment. Everybody was fine. That was in January 9, 2024. Now, after that, everybody was fine. The governor, they having their meetings, everybody was fine. They did their NEC meeting on around April 2024. Everybody was fine. Anyanwu sat down there, issued notice of meeting. We did Congress, everything was fine. But suddenly, by December 2024 till January 2025, they now remember that, oh, Anyanwu ran for governor. Is it really ran for governor? So they know the truth, just that they wanted a platform. For instance, now, Sheriff of Delta State, he hosted that meeting in Asaba to say they should not recognize Anyanwu. It's the same person, and now the defection a few weeks later to say, oh, he doesn't know with the national security of the party.
This is quite interesting.
Yes, understand me, sir. This Umayeno has been a governor. He was part of the entire meeting. He came again to say, oh, he's leaving for APC. He doesn't know who is the national secretary. So they all know. Okay, now look at today. Now the chairman of the governors forum, he was there in the meeting. He was at the press briefing. In fact, he was the one that reminded the national chairman that they had forgotten to pronounce Anyanwu return as national secretary. I was there. The BOT secretary was there. The leader of the Senate and the leader of the House of Reps, they were there. Some of those that signed to say Anyanwu is not national secretary, they were there, like Yayari. They were there. So what are we saying? They know the truth. So it's not that there is no new development that happened. There is no new development. They know the truth. So let me tell you again. The legal advisor wrote the party, wrote the governors after the Supreme Court judgment, and he said based on the position of the law and the ruling of the Supreme Court, that Anyanwu position as National Secretary is not under dispute. The National Organizing Secretary told the governors too and the party, in fact, sir, on May 27, when they had their National Caucus meeting, and they brought the report from Governor Umba and Governor Kefas, and it was clear that Anyanwu position as National Secretary was not under dispute. There was a motion moved by the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Adobo Sobara, who used to be anti-Anyanwu. The motion was seconded by former Governor Muazu Bangida Aliyu, the former governor of Niger State, another anti-Anyanwu. The motion was the motion that Anyanwu be recognized and be allowed to continue to function as National Secretary. That was May 27. There was no dissenting voice. Makinde was there at that meeting.
Okay, so let's move on.
Literally, most of the
I
there.
want to ask you
Yes, sir.
Question, Tonye. The internal wrangling, is it over? Is this the final nail in the coffin to the crisis in the party?
So, well, to be very fair, the internal quarrels in the party is not over, but the leadership issue in the party is over. Why do I say so? Like I told you, the crisis is artificially induced. Now, for the people of your viewers, we are politicians. Let me tell you what happened in politics. Crisis situation is a currency for some certain element. There are people that benefit in crisis. Those that want to defect, those that want to use the crisis to negotiate something, those that are making something either financially or politically. So people are benefiting.
Names, Tonye? And let me call names. Who are those who have benefited from this crisis? Can you call names?
Oh, definitely. I will call names. For instance, Sheyi Makinde, the governor of your state, is the chief problem of this crisis. Why? Because he wants to seize the party structure to emerge as the presidential candidate of the party for 2027. Even when he doesn't have the capacity. Debo Ologunagba, the spokesman of the party, is irrelevant in politics. He is sustaining the crisis because that is where he benefits financially and politically. It's relevant now because of the crisis. Take away the crisis. Who is Debo?
Sorry to interrupt you. Recall he alleged that INEC was frustrating the party, saying it was not going to come for the 100th INEC meeting. Do you think that your party owes INEC an apology? Because it took INEC to come into this situation for it to be resolved, so to speak.
You see, sir, there is nothing to be resolved. Let me tell you, this is not the first time INEC will write a political party to say, look, based on our procedures, the position of the law, and also the regulatory provisions of the commission, what you want to do is not in alignment with the law. Now, INEC will not force you. Now, let me give you an instance, sir. In 2013, in 2012, PDP had national convention that elected some officers. INEC wrote to PDP and said, look, the process that led to the emergence of certain officers, including our national secretary then, Olagusi Inola, our national police secretary then, Olusametu, INEC said it was flawed. Immediately, the PDP asked the affected officers to vacate office, and they conducted a new convention in line with the law, so as to rectify that process. Because if they are to ignore it, PDP wouldn't have had candidate in 2015. In 2022, sir, APC was the ruling party. Governors of APC, led by Rufai, with the backing of the president, said they want to remove Malabuni as their caretaker chairman. They appointed the governor of Niger State, Sani Bello, the then governor. Now that one assumed the position of national chairman or caretaker chairman. He wrote INEC notice of NEC meeting. INEC replied them to say, you are, from our record, you are not the lawful authority to sign this notice. That is the caretaker national chairman and caretaker national secretary that is going to sign it, which is what Mela Buni and John Akpado respectively. So is it the first time? No. Now let me tell you the consequences. What did ABC do? ABC went back to rectify it, and they were forced to allow Mela Buni and the secretary to issue notice of meeting and they preside over the NEC and settle the convention. Buhari was president. Why didn't they use their executive fiat to push their way? Because why? It is the position of the law. But there are consequences for disobedience, sir. If you may recall, in 2023, PDP lost almost everything in Plateau State. Why? Because INEC wrote a report in 2021 to say the Plateau State Congress that was held did not meet the requirement of the law. The Supreme Appeal Court said PDP should go and do a fresh Congress in the state. PDP refused. Now, let me tell you the consequences. In 2022 February, there was a by-election for Jos North and Jos South. PDP won. The court took our victory and gave it to APC, that we don't have a structure. In 2023 again, PDP won Senate, National Assembly position, and House of Assembly position. The court removed them. The only person that survived was the governor, because on technicality, this was the saving grace. APC Unko, in 2019, 2018 rather, APC had their primaries in Zamfara State. INEC ruled to say your primary did not follow due process. APC disregarded it. They won all the election in Zamfara State. The court threw all of them out and awarded the victory to PDP that got less than 10% of the popular vote. What about Rivers APC? It's not based on INEC report that Supreme Court said APC should have no candidate in a Rivers State. So there are consequences of ignoring the report of INEC.
Because I have to cut in.
Yes.
I do apologize. Now, let's talk
No
about
problem,
something
sir.
very important, away from the leadership of the party. Let's talk about the path to unity and 2027, which is very, very important. You have Wike, who is very much in line with Samuel Ayaun. I mean, he has not minced words in saying that is his friend and he will do anything from his friend. That is what Wike is on ground saying. On the other hand, you have Atiku Abubakar, who is busy talking about coalition, registering of a party, so to speak, that we can call that an alleged, so to speak. So where is the unity here? The president has stretched out his hand of invitation that Wike should come into the party. And now a party wants to stand on itself to contest in 2027. What are the chances?
Well, sir, unity cannot be forced. Now, Atiku is not vice president. With all due respect, by documentation, he's a PDP member, but in spirit and truth, he's not a member of PDP. So
you're saying Atiku is not a member of PDP?
Yes, in spirit and in truth. But in documentation, he's a PDP member. Yes, because Atiku has not participated in anything PDP.
Coalition, does that, stop him from being a member of your party?
Well, let me tell you, PDP has been holding meetings where without such meetings, he is supposed to be statutory member of such meetings. The zonal congress in the northeast, he would not participate. The national caucus meeting, he would not participate. Stakeholders meeting, you will not see him. So, and Atiku has stopped doing anything PDP. That's why I say in spirit and in truth, the member of PDP. Atiku is concentrating his energy on his coalition, which is his right, to be very fair, and I cannot fault him.
But don't you think the PDP needs to be on board with coalition? Looking at the 2023 election results, it was pretty clear that if you had the votes that was casted for the Labour Party and the PDP combined together, that would mean massive victory for you. Don't you think that is the path towards victory in 2027?
No. Sir, politics do not work that way. Politics, nobody inherits votes. Now, candidates end their votes due to prevailing circumstances during the electoral period. The PDP lost our votes, not because of anything, but because we fielded of the South. Now, don't forget, before the 2023 election, the South and Southeast were literally the strongholds of PDP. But the party fielded somebody from the north. And the party went ahead to say the chairman, who is from the north, should continue to hold his position. And it was the protest vote, which will be benefited from. So even if PDP merged even if PDP merged today with Obi, now PDP ran with Obi in 2019. We won. Why? Because the feelings of Nigeria was that power should go to the south, to the north, from the arrangement of the PDP. Now every political party have their own arrangements. Now, sir, if PDP is to go to coalition, there are processes. First and foremost, what is the interest of the party? Is the coalition for Atiku Abubakar, or for Peter Obi, or for PDP? Now, if Atiku says on the PDP, then his ambition should be left aside. If you bring a proposal to the party, so that the party will not see a path for progress through the coalition, then the party and other partners can now sit down through the various organs, the NEC, committee level, caucus, and probably if we are to go into it, then the national convention can put the final stamp.
Okay,
but no,
now Tonye,
instead,
let's assume that you are right for just a second, as you have put it, that Atiku Abubakar is not really a member of the party in terms of how he's been acting. You've alleged that he's not been attending meetings. So fine and good. So what is the fate of PDP in the hands of Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister?
Well, PDP is not in the hands of Nyesom Wike. PDP is in the hands of the members of PDP. Now, Nyesom Wike is a member of the PDP. Yes, I'm sure about that. Now, sir, let me tell you.
In the hands of the members, why has this crisis lingered so long that members themselves are leaving?
It is the members that are leaving are those that have it in their mind to leave. So, you know, when politicians want to do something, they always find a way to justify their movement. Some of them leaving, they are not confident of winning election. Let me give an instance, sir. In Delta State, the former governor, James Ibori, is in partnership with the former deputy state president, Omo Agege. Now, Sheriff Oborevwori has another challenge with Ned Nwoko from the Delta North. So now, and he fears that if he should go into the contest, just like that, with these people having the backing of the center and these strong forces, then you will have challenges. I'm telling you. So to make it easier for him, he defers so that he cannot plead for right of first refusal, being a sitting governor. Of course, such privilege will likely be granted to him. Now, this man in Akwa Ibom State, the similar thing. The Senate president is a political force. Now, he is also afraid not to be in political conflicts with
Tonye, I hope
the Senate president.
Can't just blame it on the leading government of the day. You're mentioning Akpabio, because this crisis and these challenges that you've had so far.
I am not blaming the government. I am not blaming the government, sir. In fact, I am not blaming anybody. But I am saying what it is. The PDP crisis, so-called crisis, is artificially put together by people that want to benefit from the crisis. And people have benefited from the crisis. A lot of people have benefited from this crisis. But at the end of the party members...
Our time is almost up, Tonye. Our time is almost up, but I just want to ask you one question that you will answer for me in 30 seconds. Do you think your party has a chance in 2027?
Well, I will not, and it will be very tough to say yes or no, because I will not be unfair to your viewers, to your esteemed viewers. However, I will say that if the party holistically pursue reform, then we will stand a chance. Because there must be internal reforms in the party.
Okay.
Right now, there has to be internal reform for us to stand a chance.
Internal reforms. Thank you so much, Tonye Barcanista, for being with us tonight on the show.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, the PDP's leadership crisis tests its resilience as Nigeria's opposition. Well, in the words of Tonye Barcanista, reforms are necessary, and we'll be watching out for those reforms. Are those reforms the doings of Senator Bukola Saraki because of the news of events today announcing Senator Tonye as reinstated as the National Secretary of the PDP? I don't think the drama will end anytime soon. Good luck to the opposition. Well, that's the show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, see you hopefully tomorrow on this morning show right here from Abuja. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to keep the conversation on our social media platforms. You can follow us on all our social media platforms, and we put up some polls, but we could not put them up. But I hope you get to our X platform to react to the polls, and also visit our website www.ln247.news. We've got all the stories there. You can follow the updates of what is going on in the world of politics. Once again, my name is Mono Balagogo, thanking you for watching tonight.